All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to your favorite WMMA podcast. It's hashtag CB99 Talks. It's episode 183. All right, y'all. Let's try this again. Had a couple of technical difficulties with the live. So I said, forget it. I'm gonna just sit here and record this one, get this one out the way. Seems to be easier sometimes. I used to do it this way anyway, so I might have to go back to it sometimes because streaming is weird sometimes on StreamYard, even OBS. So we just gonna we just gonna record this one and then we're gonna have it up there. So if y'all want to stick around in the chat, of course, by all means, always do that, right? But it's good to have y'all back again with another episode, y'all. And yeah, man, just wanted to kind of go through some of the past weekend's fights because I know everybody thinks it was just a UFC card, but shoot, there was a lot of WMMA fights going on. So, like I always do, I'm gonna fill y'all in on what I was watching this weekend and kind of let y'all know who to look out for in some of these fights I've seen this past weekend because we had Cage Warriors, Aries FC, and LFA. Couple of cancellations, but for the most part, had a lot of other fights to watch besides the UFC card. So I saw some up and coming fighters make their pro debut. I saw some champions fight, of course, first timers win their belt. So overall, I saw some pretty good fights, pretty good fighters, coming up in WMMA. I'll let you know who to look out for. And overall, like, who's still green and, who still needs a little bit of work and so on. Y'all know how it is. But anyways, yeah, we're going to touch on some of these fights I saw this past Friday. And, I was catching up on today because there was quite a few that I missed. We could touch on UFC Fight Night again, it's just as a whole on what the card meant for WMMA. I already broke down the fight so many times to y'all, but we'll just talk about the card as a whole. No fights this weekend, but we do have the big one on Friday. And I probably have to say this is probably the most anticipated WMMA fight outside of the UFC. Y'all know I'm talking about Dakota Digital versus Tyler Santos. We've been talking about this over here. Some of y'all was talking about it before I was, always jumping the gun, saying this, that. Like, hey, you going to talk about this? You going to talk about it? Well, we'll talk about it one more time because here it is. This is fight week. So definitely got to get this one in, right? But yeah, man, past weekend was good. Chilled out for the most part. She just got done working out myself right now. So I'm, coming down off the high. So I'm just trying to sit back and unwind with y'all and do this show and just fill y'all in on some fights, man. But yeah, Cage Warriors and LFA, had some pretty good fights. I know Aries FC. I just watched like a few of the fights. I didn't even watch Aries FC, because Zara Farron was supposed to be fighting, but her fight was canceled, unfortunately. I wanted to see if she could do it one more time. Look, I believe in these fighters sometimes. I know she's been on quite a losing streak, but it's WMMA. I want to see why she continues to fight. Like, is she getting better? Is she making improvements, even at her age? Even if the course she's taken. But unfortunately, her fight was canceled, so I don't know what's going on with Zara Farron. But so, it's just how it goes. But yeah, Aries FC, we had that fight card. Don't think there were any other WMMA fights. Cage Fury. I did watch Cage Fury. One of the fights on there got canceled. One of the WMMA fights on there got canceled. But we had this young lady right here in the bantamweight division, Kennedy Freeman. Kennedy Freeman just won this belt. I think it was the inaugural bantamweight Cage Warriors belt. I'm not sure. But I seen Kennedy Freeman fight before. I know she fought one of the fighters I know, Flora Hani, a little while back. And, since then, she's been on the come up. Young fighter coming out of England, has a big following, for a fighter that's not signed to the UFC. Fighters in England, they back up their fighters. Fighters in England, they back up their people, So I got to give her a lot of credit. These fighters like Sky Nichols and Katie Taylor, all of these fighters, Molly McCann. So this young lady is 6-0. I think she definitely got the marketing behind her. And now that she's won a belt and with her style, I think that, we could see her in the UFC one day. Kennedy Freeman, how old is she? They don't even have her age listed here, but I can tell you, she's still a young fighter. Still fights like a machine. That's her nickname. But yeah, she won the belt via TKO over Mafalda Carmona. Mafalda Carmona, I've seen her fight a couple of times. She's strong, kind of a brawler. Nothing really stands out, but I believe she lost to Melissa Mullins early in her career. But she was just outgunned in this fight. I think Kennedy Freeman's power was too much. For the most part, this was just like a kickboxing match. Or I'd say boxing match. They didn't really take this fight to the ground. It was mostly a cage wrestling a little bit, a lot of hands thrown from Kennedy Freeman's side, and the reaction from Falda. You could see she couldn't really take those shots because in the fourth round she was damaged. So at the end of the fourth round, she just sat in the corner, and I believe her trainer was like, "That's it." I don't think there was like a serious injury. Maybe there was. If y'all saw, let me know. But I didn't see like a serious injury from her corner. Maybe it was just like she's taking too much punishment. So they stopped the fight. So yeah, she won it via TKO. Give her full credit for that win because she was dominant. She was a machine in there. And that's what you want to see. Fighters like that put on a statement. And I'm just looking at the stats to see how many punches she landed, because seeing how they stopped it, I was like, dang, was she getting hit that much? But anyway, Kennedy Freeman moves up to 6-0 now. From here, I'd like to see her defend her belt. Maybe even go over to light PFL, move up to featherweight or something like that, or even go over to LFA, fight for the bantamweight belt there. But just kind of shop around, build your skills up. I think she already has a following behind her that's going to be, strong the more she fights in other organizations, because eventually somebody's going to say, I want to see her in the UFC. She could be as popular as like Dakota. I think she already has like over 23,000 followers on IG. So yeah, she's already got that part. So I don't think there's really any need to rush to get into the UFC. I keep saying that about these fighters, like, do not rush. Do not rush into the UFC. Take the time you need, because you don't want to wind up like Molly McCann or some of these other fighters that, don't let their skills catch up to their popularity. All right. So yeah, that was a good, good statement for Kennedy Freeman. Good brawler, exciting type of fighter. Still want to see a little bit more from her. All right. Going to LFA 197. I was definitely tuning in to LFA 197. Y'all know I'm high on this young lady right here. Natasha Kusatina taking on Yasmin Guillermo. I think it's Garamai. Yeah, Garamai. This was for the interim strawweight belt. Well, Natasha was defending her interim strawweight belt and in the main event. So I was, tuning in into this, but I didn't know that they had like 4 other fights. So there was a total of 5 WMMA fights on this card. So I was like, okay, that's good. All right. So went back and watched a few of those tonight or this afternoon, and I was impressed. We had some fighters making their debut. Pretty much all Brazilians on this one. It's just like a all Brazilian affair. It was, well, it was. It was 8 women, 4 fights. Well, 8 women, 8 Brazilians, 4 fights. So we saw some action here. Different styles here. Had some grapplers, strikers, pro debuts. So I was locked in. The fight card kicked off with the fight you see in upper left corner, Clara Oliveira versus Maria Vaz. They both were making their debut. Sierra Oliveira scores a second round TKO via ground and pound over Maria Vaz. Oliveira, she pretty much started off putting the pressure on Vaz. Vaz landed some good shots here and there. Oliveira, I believe she seemed like the stronger fighter, more committed. She got a good takedown in the first round and landed some good ground and pound, heavy ground and pound. She got a good full mount. Maria Vaz, I thought she did better on the feet in the second round, but eventually she got taken down again. And Maria Vaz, she showed a lot of heart. Maria Vaz had a good right hand. We'll say it. She hits hard. She does. That's why I was kind of like laughing at, because like she connected once on Oliveira, kind of knocked her head back. And I wanted to see more of that. But Oliveira took her down, scored a good TKO over via ground and pound. So yeah, good debut for Oliveira. Always want to make a statement like that. Second fight was the next women's fight, was this flyweight fight. Oliveira versus Vaz is a strawweight fight. Consola versus Thiani Lopez. This is a flyweight fight. Now, if y'all are familiar with Thiani Lopez, Yanni Lopez was the young lady that got submitted via bulldog choke by Shannon Clark. And if you remember that one, that's the fight you see in the second picture, top right corner. Yeah, Thiani Lopez. Yeah, she was the victim of that bulldog choke by Shannon Clark. Who I still remember that one. I know all y'all remember that one, but she made a return against Consolai here, and once again, she comes out on the losing end here. Consolai dominated, good striking, a lot of pressure. You see hard left hands, just all around good control from Consolai. This girl's really strong, pretty good boxing, heavy hands. Wasn't really able to gauge her full on ground game because Thiani Lopez didn't offer much. Thiani Lopez was more on her back foot in this fight. Not really even a counter punch, but just to kind of get away. I'm not sure if Thiani Lopez recovered from, that the mental damage in that loss, because that was a rough one. But, that's how it goes sometimes. It's been a rough year for her. She's 0-2, but this young lady, Beatrice Consolai, I was impressed with the stand-up game. This fight, let me see, it bumps her up to, let's see, that'll bump her up to 5-0 now. Yeah, Beatrice Consolai is a young flyweight at 5-0. No rush to see her in the UFC. I think she's still growing, but she's definitely somebody to keep an eye on in LFA. Not like she's to the UFC yet, not at all yet. Like, I think she needs to be fighting for the belt at flyweight in LFA first. So a good unanimous decision win for Consolai. Third fight is bantamweight fight between Nicole Petroza, Felita Denise. Ooh, this one, man, Petroza. This girl right here, heavy hands, man, heavy hands. This young undefeated fighter right here, another LFA fighter. I believe she's been fighting for LFA for a minute too, right? Let me see. Another full-time LFA fighter. Yeah, she's had several, like 2 or 3 fights in LFA. Another heavy-handed Brazilian. I mean, she came out here putting a lot of pressure on Denise. Both were exchanging early, but you could see like Denise not really able to take that power. She wasn't able to stand her ground. So Petroza, she just put that pressure on, kept cracking her with good right hands, dropped her hard in the first round. Started landing that ground and pound. No feel out. No feel out. That's what I was about to say. No feel out in this fight at all whatsoever from Pedroza. Just backing her up, landing some hard shots. She wanted to make that first, that first statement with her power, and she did. So yeah, Nicole Pedroza, definitely a fighter I'd say need to keep an eye on in LFA. She might be fighting for that belt pretty soon here at 6-0. So yeah, I'm always trying to look out for bantamweights here. Bantamweights and atomweights, are fighters that, I'm kind of looking out for as far as the talent right now, because it seems like flyweight already has a rotation right now. The UFC flyweight division is solid. You got flyweights in LFA, Invicta, PFL, and it just seems they got them in rotation. Cage Warriors, whatever, right? There's no problem right now. But as far as like talent for bantamweight, you got to keep an eye on fighters like this. Shoot, even atomweight, like even if UFC doesn't have atomweight division. And shout out to Dozier Music. Look, I'm gonna drop that video. I know you asked me a little while back about who do I think the UFC needs to sign if they make an atomweight division. So I'm gonna still kind of look into that for you. But yeah, that was good solid first round finish for Pedroza. And the fourth fight on the prelims, Aiza Bertozo versus Janaya Silva. This was a good strawweight fight. Bertozo, I like her style. She's almost like Marina Rodriguez with a ground game. All right, I'm up. Bertozo been in the LFA for, I'd say, a number of years, maybe like 2 or 3 years, I believe. Let me check. She's 5-0. Actually has some submissions on her resume. Well, she's been about a year. She's got about 5 fights, but she's been active. 2023 racked up 5 wins in LFA. Definitely a strawweight you got to look out for. Definitely one I think is on the come up here. Might be fighting for that belt pretty soon here. Bertozo, dominated Silva. I think it was clear-cut win. Seemed like the crowd really wasn't happy with it, but to me, Silva didn't offer much. Silva, this was kind of like Joanna versus Andrade. Silva was a bulldog in there. She was coming forward, putting a lot of pressure on. If y'all don't know, Silva had fought. This Silva is the one that fought Eduardo Moore in the Contender Series. If y'all don't remember, this was last year. It was 2023 for let me see, what season was that? I can't remember what season, but Contender Series 2023. This is the fight that got Eduardo Moore in the UFC, defeating Janaya Silva. So seeing her come back, fighting LFA, be that bulldog, I wanted to see a little bit more. She came in there a little bit like Andrade, leaning, just leaning forward, leading with her chin. She got pieced up. Bertozzo fought off the back foot, also had a ground game, took Silva down, I believe, in the first round, but for the most part, controlled with knees, uppercuts, overhand rights, whatever you call, she was doing it. She was landing shots because Silva was wide open. Like you see in his bottom right corner, see that jab land? That's Bertozzo right there, landing that jab in the bottom right. So just seeing her score that type of shutout, but at the same time have a good ground game, makes me think highly of her because, she has good reach, knows how to use it, and can fight off her back. Because even whenever she had I think she didn't get knocked down, Silva caught one of her kicks and, took her off her feet. Bertozzo went to the ground. Silva didn't want to go to the ground. Silva didn't want to go to the ground either. Bertozzo was ready. She was like, I'm on my back. I'm ready. Let's go. But she stood back up and then went right back to piecing her up. So looks like, the beginnings of a complete fighter, so keep your eye on her. But yeah, those were the prelims. Definitely say out of all of them, I like Petroza. Definitely like her. And I like the performance from Bertozzo, this young strawweight. So let's see. Yeah, Petroza from bantamweight definitely looks like a problem. At 6-0. And yeah, this young lady Aiza Bertozzo at 5-0. Definitely keep an eye on them. The main event, Natasha Kusatina is the LFA interim strawweight champion, taking on Yasmin Garamay. Not the best performance from either fighter. Not even the best performance from the champion. But I will say this. Kusatina definitely looked like a fighter that you'll see get signed to the UFC pretty soon. I think it was just a style matchup. That and a matter of, point deductions. Neither fighter was really dirty in here. The point deductions were just, they just came from quick reactions of grabbing the fence. I don't think either was really trying to be a cheat to one another. There was no low blows or eye pokes or dirty tactics outside both of them losing points from, grabbing the fence. For Natasha, I know she was probably surprised that Yasmin was going to take her down like that. So she reached for that fence real quick. She's used to leading. She's used to leading. So when she grabbed that fence and the ref took the point, I was like, yeah, she deserved it. Then when Yasmin did it too, I was like, yeah, they deserved it. So it was just kind of a weird matchup. Not a lot of action, but Kusatina still proved to me that she is UFC material, especially compared to some of the fighters they have signed. I mean, looking at this one, let's take a look here. Looking at this one, she clearly won. I think Kusatina from the first round, she pretty much set the pace with her judo and jiu-jitsu. Kusatina, she was measuring, using her jab, actually outlanding them. Yasmin Garamay is a Muay Thai specialist. She's Muay Thai champion, and seemed like from the jump, even before she suffered the little elbow injury, which I'll talk about here in a minute, she didn't really make her presence known with a jab. It was actually Kusatina throwing her jab. Yasmin was showing a little too much respect. She did go in, like I said, for a clinch and a takedown, and that's where Natasha grabbed the fence and lost the point. So when she went in for that, it didn't really rattle her, but it kind of amped her up because when she grabs the fence and loses the point, Natasha kind of bounces back. Natasha Kusatina kind of bounces back from losing the point and gets a head toss in. And from there, she's controlling. She's controlling. Even after losing the point, she's got that headlock on Yasmin and uses that judo. She's got it tight, landing a few shots. That's what I like about Kusatina too. Like, she doesn't just lay and pray. Like, when she takes you down, she's beating you. She's hitting you with punches in the clinch or on the ground. So she's got a good mix of her judo like Kayla Harrison does. They train together too. So when she gets that headlock, makes a nice transition. I believe it was full mount. And then she goes and transitions to a full-on armbar. And I mean, that armbar was serious. It was locked in the first round. And I was like, there it is. And that arm popped out because Yasmin would not tap. Yasmin Garamay would not tap. That full elbow was popped inward. And how she was withstanding that, I don't know. I have no idea, man. But she didn't tap. She made it to the end. I believe she got out of the first one, and then it got, Natasha locked in another one. She locked in another one. And from there, I was like, that arm is about to break. So the ref, he's watching close, but she makes it out of the second one. When she gets up, I see like her elbow, like she's not sure she's trying to pop it into place, but just kind of work it. But when she gets back to the corner, I thought the referee was going to stop it. I thought he stopped because he waved his hands, but no, she continued on. But with that armbar, it did kind of compromise her striking because she didn't really throw that many strikes after that. Going into the second round, like you see here, Natasha was just doing a good job of, backing her up with her own striking and want to take down of her own. Of course, Yasmin grabs the fence here, loses a point. So that makes her drop a 10-8 in this round. And she gets out grappled again. Third round is more the same. Actually, the third round, Natasha's outstriking her clearly, outstriking her on the feet. The fourth round, Natasha did amp it up. Yasmin did amp it up a little bit on Natasha. She outstruck her that round. That was the only round I could give Yasmin. The fifth round, Natasha took over again. Head toss city, man. Head toss city. That girl scored so many head tosses on her. It was like, no joke, man. It wasn't even funny because, Yasmin being the, of course, Brazilian and younger fighter here, you think she's going to be a little bit more athletic, be able to slip out of there and maybe use some BJJ on her, but no such luck, man. Well, actually, she did get the back. In the fourth, the round she did win, when she did get head tossed, she did get the back in one round, but she really wasn't able to make use of it. She didn't get a rear naked choke attempt. Nope. She just held on. A lot of holding in this fight. The referee, he had to reset him a few times. So, like I said, the fight wasn't really action-packed, but I was able to kind of gauge Natasha Kusatina's skills. I think one of her weaknesses might be the head toss moving forward because she's going to need to diversify her takedowns. The head toss in the UFC, not going to work against some of your Brazilian BJJ practitioners. Not at all. You got a lot of girls like Jillian Robertson, Mackenzie Dern, Vanessa Demopoulos, Sam Hughes, these girls like that. You try to head toss some good wrestlers, good BJJ, it could happen, right? They're going to get that back and choke you out like there's no tomorrow. So that's something I want to see change from her. Like, I want to see more shooting for singles and double legs because they were there in this fight. Like, when she would strike her way in, she could have got some body locks and tripping takedowns and things like that. But when I saw her get her back taken by, Muay Thai fighter, imagine what some of these Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners are going to do to her. So other than that, yeah, I think that she is close to a complete fighter at 35. I think, she's kind of on that clock now where she wants to go ahead and get signed and do her thing and, skyrocket through the UFC and see what she can do, gauge her skills. So from here, I think that she deserves to unify against Rose Conceição for the LFA strawweight title, the legit strawweight title. Unify with her and then get signed to the UFC. I don't think she needs to go through the contender series at all. Not at all, because she's already done enough. She's defended her interim belt twice and then unify the LFA belt. Come on. If she's able to do that and really work on becoming a complete fighter like she has and show this much skill sets, development. Yeah, go ahead and sign her to the UFC after this championship fight in 2025. So yeah, shout out to Natasha Kusatina. Yasmin Garamaj, she's still young, only like 22, 23 years old. She's got a lot to learn. So in a lot of time. So no rush for her. I just think Natasha, she needs to move a little faster because she's older. But I think that with her mindset, she's on the right path. At 7-1, she's learned a lot since that Fatima Klein loss. So since then, she's went on a 6-fight win streak. Solid, right? Solid, man. So that's what 6 fights from 2023 to 2024. A lot learned there, So yeah, definitely would like to see her one day in the UFC and see what she's able to do. But yeah, that was pretty much what I did this weekend, man. Just watch these fights. Even today, go back and look at some of them. Out of all of them, I would probably say Natasha Kusatina is the next fighter you see signed to the UFC. And eventually, I would say that Aiza Bertoso is a fighter that would be signed. And then Nicole Pedroza is the third fighter I'd like to see signed one day. Potential stars now, like not talking skills, but potential stars, I would say is Kennedy Freeman. That's why I say, let her skills catch up first. And then, we'll talk as far as, her being signed to the UFC. But she could be a star outside of the UFC as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, eventually everybody wants to get to the UFC to really prove they're the best, right? So gotta work on the skill sets. Other than that, y'all know what it is. The weekend, we had some good fights in UFC China, and as a whole, man, I probably have to say this UFC China card, it delivered more than some of the pay-per-view cards, man. I definitely have to rate it up there. It had quite a number of finishes, and just the collective of the Jan Figueiredo card, it was solid, man. Like I wish it was on just like a regular night card. Like everybody could have caught it, Like some people told me I didn't get a chance to see it, at the right time. I would like to call it, but either way it delivered, right? How many finishes were on this card? Let me see here real quick. Because like I said, the WMMA fights on here as a collective, they delivered. They were satisfying. Not just because I went 3-0, but they did deliver. Let me see. We had 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 finishes on this card, and they were all solid too. Good submissions, good knockdowns, good first round knockouts. Dang, let me see. 1, 2, 3. 3 first round finishes on here too, so yeah, I cannot complain. And then with 6 finishes, 2 of them being women's fights, that's kind of a step up because usually we only get like one WMMA stoppage, right? But both of these were shockers, man. Like I still can't get over like some the performances here. Like these ladies deliver, man. UFC China delivered, even though Wang Cong was on the losing end, she delivered for us because she gave us a good fight. You know what I mean? Like, of course, she wished it doesn't end. I know she wished, of course, it didn't end that way, right? But for us, as fight fans, we want to see a finish regardless, right? I know your hardcore Wang Kong fans didn't, but hey, it is what it is, So real quick, we had some of y'all that didn't catch the breakdowns or post-fight talk. We had Shi Ming head kick Feng Xiaotong in the Oblivion, man. And not trying to be funny because it was just wow. Like, who saw that coming, man? The fight was explosive in parts, but for the most part, it was like a chess match. I know some people were high on Feng Xiaotong, but I went with Shi Ming. I don't know, something about her style and just the way she was moving. I think Shi Ming was going to win, but going into that second round, I was like, she's about to lose. I was like, maybe she's just outgunned or, she's landing, but she just didn't really have like the strength to keep Feng Xiaotong down. And lo and behold, it wasn't her wrestling or inside work that was going to get it done. It was this setup head kick. I mean, it was beautiful. Body kicks all night. Finally, she's in the third round. Boom, knocks her out. And again, man, seeing Feng Xiaotan, just her reaction, man. Ooh, I was like, ooh, man. Maybe because there's still a soft spot in me for women. Even though I see a lot of women getting knocked out now, part of me was kind of like, oh man, like you just see her as like this young girl, like, oh, what if that was your daughter or something like that? In that point, you just see her get knocked out like that. But if you got a daughter in there, that's your fighter that you're training, that's what you got to be able to understand what's coming, right? Like you got a fighter in there, one day they could be laying there like that, so you just have to be able to stomach it. Not saying I couldn't, but I'm just saying, man, like, it's just that reaction, man. But yeah, shout out to Xi Ming though. Xi Ming is signed now. Showed a little bit of everything, explosiveness, good setup here. Though she was losing, I'd say she still needs to work on being first in fights, needs to pick up a lead. And with her being smaller, she's going to have to do that. She'll have to force her wrestling more like Carla or something, so she can build her lead. I know she wants to go back down to atomweight division. Maybe that's more of a reason for Dana to start doing, going on a talent scout, But until then, she's going to have to make do with strawweight. And we'll see how she fares, right? So, yeah, that was a good way to kick off the card for real for the WMMA fans. And of course, Gabriela Fernandez pulls off one of the biggest upset in UFC history here. Pulls a Shannon Dobson against Wang Cong. Much like who was Shannon Dobson. Yeah, Shannon Dobson versus Maria Agapova. Yeah. Much like Agapova, I think that, Wang Cong just kind of threw caution out the wind here to the wind and underestimated her opponent. Went a little too hard and tried to, blow her whole load in one round and winds up leaving herself wide open. And the thing is, Gabriela Fernandez, though she was losing a couple of, though she was losing the fight, she's lost some fights, she's definitely not a bad fighter. She's not a bad fighter. Like Gabriela Fernandez is not Victoria Leonardo. Resume check. She has some ground game weaknesses, but she's always in the fight. She's never really seriously been hurt. She's just dominated by better grapplers, stronger girls on the ground. But Gabriela Fernandez, she's durable. She's strong. There's still hope for her in the UFC, now that I've seen this and, going back and to look at her work against Carly Giudice, like if she gets cut, I don't think she'll be like cut because of like Victoria Leonardo losses, but it might just be her coming up short. But if she's able to turn it up like this in the future, who knows what happens for Gabriela Fernandez. She needed this wake-up call, though. She did, Wang Cong needed the wake-up call. Wang Cong needed it. She was kind of jumping ahead, the whole Valentina call out and I want to fight Casey O'Neill and this and that. Like, well, you got to deal with these fights first. Deal with these type of fights first. And then your team and yourself can kind of gauge where you stand. That's why there's levels. Like, even for fighters like Dakota Dijova, I know how she looks now, but she's got to beat a Tyler Santos first. She's got to beat a Tyler. Even when she comes to the UFC, she's going to have to beat some other names first because she can't jump into a top 5 yet. Because if she loses, then it's a bust, Get ranked first and then go from there. So, Wang Cong, like I said, to be short on it, she'll be back. Everybody takes these L's sometimes, I think she'll need to come back against, somebody that's going to push her again and test her patience and see if she can go back to like her game plan in the first round, And of course, this fight here, this is another one where we just saw a different type of clinic put on, different than Dr. Xi Ming, putting her patient in the hospital. But this is more of a striking clinic from Xiaonan against Tabitha Ricci, which clear as day, saw it coming. I left some space open, because this is MMA, I left some space open just to say, okay, all right, I give anybody a little chance, there's always that little window. But when you skip a fighter ahead like Ricci so many times, or you just ask, if you're already asking yourself, like, how is this fighter ranked? Or how are they ranked this high? And you look at the resume, how did they get this high? If you're asking yourself that already, and then that person gets scheduled against a number 3, somebody who dropped Wei Li 4 times, then that person might lose. That person might lose because she doesn't necessarily have a style that could agitate Yan Zhana. Let's say if the girl had a style similar to Carla Esparza, then we can talk. Like if she was pure wrestler, pure heavy-handed wrestler, or just pure Marab style cardio and grappler, very durable, then I would say, yeah, this little baby shark would do something. But Tabitha Ricci's still working on like her inside game and her entry game. There's still problems there. And if a girl has heavy hands like Yan Xiaonan, she's not going to go for it like that. She won't be able to outbox or outstrike. So I hate to see somebody Ricci lose, because I won't say I hate for to see her lose. I mean, when you skip ahead like that, it's gonna come, and it's best that you learn from that, right? Especially with the way the UFC matched her up. Boom, back to the drawing board. You'll be all right. You had no business in there anyway. But I think that Yan, she definitely deserved it, because a lot of people were counting her out. Even after the title fight, dropping Wei Li several times, there's still something to take away from that. Yan is not done. Yan has potential to take that belt now. With the way the division is, Yan has potential to become champion. She's just got to tighten up on her takedowns and counter wrestling, if you will. And shout out to Marcus. I know Mark said even utilize uppercuts. Utilize uppercuts on some of these one-dimensional fighters that like to shoot, and I don't really mean like they're one-dimensional. I'm just saying like one-dimensional as far as like entry. So stuff like that, just little things like that, uppercuts she needs to work on, and she probably see more success. But yeah, don't count Yan Xiaonan out. Don't count her out, man. Can't count her out at all. Ricci, I definitely want her to come back because I want to see new blood. You got fighters like Carla retiring. Joanna's been gone. Andrade might be leaving soon. Angela Hill and Tisha Torres, their days are limited. Their days are numbered. Ebos, Ebos is still here, which, I'm glad. But, you need a good crop of fighters to come in to start taking their places. So I want to see somebody like Ricci look better than she is at some point. But yeah, next year, I think she just needs to take that time off and go get that work in like she was going to do, So yeah, good card overall, man. Probably one of the better collectives of WMMA we've had in a while. I know we had some fight cards where we had all flyweight fights, but this one here just had all the drama. You had a 30-27, and then you had a behind the back upset that was, just storybook for Gabriela Fernandez. And then you had one that just came out of nowhere. Fight was just kind of slow pace. Then all of a sudden, oh, there it is, So that made it a good card to me. So I might rate this card up there with like one of my top 5s of 2024, actually. Better than some of the pay-per-view cards. I'll say that right now, for sure. But yeah, man, that was this past weekend. This weekend coming up, I don't think we have anything, right? I mean, no, we don't. UFC 310 is the next card. And that'll have Pantoja Asakura going at it for the flyweight belt. Rachmanov and Ian Gary. Yeah. That's a good card. Gon Volkov, Bryce Mitchell back against Gracie. Yeah, that's going to be a good card. And no WMMA fights on that card either, but that's still one I would like to jump on and call. But I'm taking next week off. Like I said, I'm going to be off for all next week. For some of y'all that already know why, maybe, but not because of the holidays, but maybe I'll fill y'all in after if y'all forgot. But I'll be taking that. Yeah. That's why I'm doing a little more lives and videos this week, because definitely going to be off next week, all next week, for sure. But no UFC. But hey, we got this fight here. It's coming Friday. Let me go ahead and pull up the time for y'all here real quick. Let's see. Dakota Digiva. Because I know I got to get the time zone right. I know it's not at a regular UFC fight night card time like I usually call, but this one's on Friday, right? Let me see. PFL 2024 Championships on ESPN Plus. This one is Friday, 3 days from now, November 29th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. All right, in Saudi. That's why. Such a weird time. So, 9:30 a.m. this card starts at. And how many fights do you got? Oh, wow. You got, let's see, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 fights. Okay. So we won't be getting to the co-main event until like 1. Let me find the time for the main. But in the meantime, let me see. The card kicks off with the atomweight fight between Hatam Al-Saif versus Lilia Osmani. If y'all aren't familiar with them, that's that young girl. Hatam is that little. I think she's she's from Saudi. Yeah, she's from Saudi. She's taking on a newcomer who's 0-0. She had a big knockout win. She had a big knockout win when she first started. Highlight reel type, right? She's taking on this new girl from Algeria. So it's kicking off with that. That's the only other WMMA fight on the card. The co-main, of course, is Dichiva and Santos. This is the tournament championship. Let me see. I want to say I saw it started somewhere at 1:30. Let me see if I can find that actual time for the co-main event. Hold on. Let's see here. Tyler Santos. I'm hoping this recording is working better than that stream did for y'all in the comments section. Let's see here. We have... Sometimes it's hard to find like the card. There it is. Yeah. Dichiva versus Santos. The main card starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time. 2 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, early prelims 9, but the main card is at 2 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN Plus. So yeah, I'll definitely be on in time to get that fight in with y'all in the afternoon. Granted, I ain't got nothing else going on. Because usually that's my errand run time, and sometimes that kind of runs into my workout time. Maybe I got to work out earlier that day. All right. But anyways, yeah, we got the times down. Dichiva and Santos, like I said, outside of anything in the UFC, this is one of the better WMMA fights that has a lot riding on it. For Dichiva, everybody has questions. There's a hype train and a hate train for Dakota, right? I'm not on either right now. I'm on the hope train. Okay. So there's 3 trains here. Which train are y'all on? There's a hate train for Dakota, a hype train, and a hope train. The hate train, y'all know what that is. People just hating without even doing any study on it, right? I try not to do that, I don't hate on fighters. BJ swear up and down I hate Casey O'Neill, but no, I'm not hating on her. I just want the girl to get some work in, that's all. So I'm not on that train. Some of y'all are on the Casey O'Neill hate train. I know that, right? It's similar to that, but a lot of people think, she's fighting nobodies, which in some way, she's fighting lesser competition, but she's not fighting good enough to competition that's good enough to gauge her. But she is a good fighter going by her work ethic and her performances, right? So if she's making it look this easy, I mean, she is to a certain level talented Definitely talented and skilled. That's why I'm on the hope train for it. But yeah, the hate train, yeah, you know what that is. The hype train, some of y'all already putting her up there on Mount Rushmore with Amanda Nunes. A lot of y'all already doing that. Or some of y'all already saying she don't even need to fight through the flyweight division. And y'all are the same people that don't get your feelings hurt, like when Wang Cong lost. Because let's say if Santos loses, I'm gonna ask y'all the same question. If Santos wins. If Santos wins, are y'all off the Dakota train? you know, I'm gonna ask that question again in the community post. See what y'all say. If Santos goes in there and chokes out Dakota, do y'all jump off the train? So that's the hype train people, just hyping her up without even really studying her, or hyping her up, not even looking at the opponent she's fighting. Hope train is me because I'm hoping that she does look good. I'm hoping that she has a test in front of her. I'm hoping that it's not one-sided so we can see her have to dig deep. I want to see her make adjustments. I want to see her have to fight through adversity because I think she is talented and she is skillful. I'm hoping for somebody that can come over to the UFC and build WMMA even more than it is. Because that's what I am first. I'm a fan of WMMA. I have my particular fighters I like, but as a whole, I love WMMA. So I want to see her do good. So I'm hoping that she's ready. I'm hoping that she has the skills to really carry her into the UFC. I'm hoping that she has all of that. So I definitely want to see her do well in that aspect, So I'm definitely not somebody that just wants to see this girl done. Just like with Wang Cong, I'm on a hope train with her too. I'm always hoping for these fighters that have marketing behind them to bring more eyes to WMMA. I'm always like that, Come on, like that's why I do this channel. I do this channel because there's nobody else out here. Like I want other people to do WMMA channels and start loving it. That's why I'm over here talking about them and promoting them. So I hope she does well. Like I don't want to see her lose just to lose and then say, "Ha, told you so." I don't want to do that. Like even Wang Cong, I do want to see her back up her talk so we see more people watching. Haven't really had a star since Ronda Rousey, so people always just kind of let WMMA go under the radar. So yeah, I want to see her do well. I want to see her do well in this. But I want to see Tyler do well. That's why I kind of want the fight to just be a gritty fight where they both come out feeling good about themselves. And I want the fans to walk away saying, sign these girls back to the UFC, both of them. Whoever wins, hey, sign the loser too. I want them both to look good in this one, man. Like, even if Dakota raises her hand, I want Santos to have given her hell or vice versa. However it plays out, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to see a good fight. See, some of y'all just hate Santos, want to see Dakota make, or vice versa. Me, I benefit when either one of them wins the fight, as long as they put in that work, because it's going to give me something to talk about. And if they do look good, me, hey, I give credit where credit is due. Even if the fighter's not somebody I was loving in the beginning, hey, if they doing something right, shoot, hey, like I always say, prove me wrong. You're doing something right, So when it comes down to it, this would be a good fight. I will do a breakdown on it. I do feel a little worried for Tyler Santos because of the type of style Dakota brings. Looking back at her punching power, I think this is probably the hardest puncher that Tyler Santos has faced on her resume. I can't really gauge some of these other girls from back in the old days when she fought in Brazil. But when you look at, let's see, Valentina, I'd say one of the better all-around fighters she's faced. Of course, the best on her resume. Better grapplers and scrappy fighters, Aaron Blanchfield, Jillian Robertson. Those are all some of the best grapplers she's faced, but nobody really had power or thunderous hands or even like movement like Dakota. So we might have to go on record and say that's one of the things that's going to be scary here is how Tyler reacts to that power. Dakota definitely hasn't faced anybody this strong on her resume. So strength and power here, something new to both of them here. In ways they are facing the best that they've ever faced in different areas. Again, probably the hardest puncher Tyler's ever faced. And for Dakota, probably the strongest fighter she's ever faced. Yeah, hardest puncher Tyler's faced and the strongest fighter that Dakota's faced. So kind of evens out there. How well will Tyler be with her approach as far as, getting on the inside and utilizing her left hook? Does she have the gas tank? We know she's strong, but does she have the consistency throughout these rounds? Like when you see Aaron keep going and going and going, like, does Tyler have that going into this fight? Will she have that? Is she going to be able to lock up with this girl and take her down? And if she doesn't finish her in one round, is she prepared for the round 2, the round 3, round 4, round 5? This is a 5-round fight, right? If let me see. If it says tournament championship, there's got to be a 5-round fight. And that makes it even scarier here. I know she went 5 with Valentina, but that fight did take something out of her because that was a damaging fight. But going in there with somebody who hits a little bit harder too. Let me see. Yep, 5-round fight. So pacing is going to be important for Santos. Pacing is going to be important. I say that because she's got to be the pressure fighter. She's got to back up Dakota. And she's got to be looking for those openings. There's got to be constant pressure, but also being alert for those long limbs, the knees to the body, the right hand, the left hook to the body. So much to be alert on as far as what's coming from this striker. For Dakota, she's got to be alert on Tyler's power and her strength against the cage, because get taken down once by Tyler and, her scramble game isn't enough to weather Santos's grappling. She could get submitted in one round. And if she gets taken down every round, she's going to have to be prepared for submissions, And Tyler's got to be ready for ground and pound too. Tyler's got to be ready for a ground and pound. She's got to be over ground and pound this fight. And not just position, but look for submission like she did against Ilaria Wani. So this fight is new to both of them. We're going to get some questions answered, like I always say, for Dakota. We've already had some answer with Tyler in the past. That's why I'm a little nervous for going into this one. And the more I kind of measure it out and have something to go by now, as far as Tyler's performances in her last few fights, I get a little nervous because of how she puts herself in trouble. Like, not because she's a bad fighter, but it's usually her putting herself in situations that she shouldn't be in. She really shouldn't be in. So we'll see. We'll see how this thing goes, y'all. But I think it's going to be one of the better fights we get to close out the year. Last flyweight fight we have in the UFC, I think that's going to be Miranda Maverick and Jamie Lynn, I said, but this one might be the most significant one we have, right? So yeah. Let me see. Side note, Chanel Dyer had to pull out of her fight due to injury. I did hit her up on Instagram. Shout out to Chanel Dyer. She did respond back. And yeah, I mean, she already put it on her IG, let us know. But yeah, she had to pull out of this fight against Paulina Wanuska. So, I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad about that, but it's all good. Everything happens for a reason, like I told her, man, so we'll see. Maybe they reschedule or maybe they replace Wanuska's. Maybe they replace Dyer with Scatizzi or something like that, because that's how these tournaments usually do, right? But yeah, I thought that was going to be a good fight. That was that was going to be another good fight to wrap up the year. Chanel Divers, Paulina Winuska. I didn't look at if they did fully reschedule, but I'm thinking that might be the idea. But yeah, that fight was supposed to take place next month, December 14th. But yeah, it's off, just in case y'all didn't know. Really, man, I was looking forward to it though, man. I won't say upset, but yeah, you know how it goes, man. Injuries come, injuries go. And yeah, that's how it is. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I had on. Oh yeah. I did want to talk about Valentina's injury. I know some of y'all had mentioned that too in the interview. I kind of missed some of that, but yeah, I know Gabby had asked when I was doing a live earlier that got kind of messed up. Yeah, the Shevchenko injury I'm speaking about is, like they were saying, the neck injury that she faced, I guess, in her last fight. Since while she's on vacation, I guess she's kind of letting that nurse back. But I don't think it's anything too serious that's going to hold her back, like she said, because, she's still out there dancing and moving and twirling and all of that. So maybe it might have just been a little something that, you just need to nurse and let heal up naturally. I don't think no surgery is required. Hopefully not. But usually if you let it do it naturally, it might take a little bit more time. But it's nothing like torn or that needs to be reconnected. I don't know. But yeah, that was an injury, that Shevchenko injury, something about her neck. So yeah, I don't think that at all. Like, Shevchenko ain't ducking. No, Shevchenko's not ducking fighters. I think on Manon's part, she just wants to have something in writing and she wants to know what's next for her. That's all. And I have no problem with that. But yeah, for Valentina though, I'm definitely not rushing her back because if she has an injury, you got to let that thing heal. You got to let it heal. But yeah, we've been having a lot of injuries lately too, man, in the game. So I might talk about that in another show, man, because these injuries are kind of showing signs of two things. Maybe fighters going too hard in the gym, or if you look at the age with Grasso and Valentina, fight years are catching up to them. So Valentina might really be in that mindset where the more injuries that happen in the later part of her career, you got to start thinking that retirement is probably gonna start coming up at the top of the list now. I know Juliana Pena's been talking about it, right? That's another video, but she's been discussing it. Amanda had to take her break. Not sure if she is coming back, but she's retired. So Joanna, Carla, I'm sure all these girls got some type of little injury that they've taken on home with them, and they got for some of them might have it for life, but it could just be something that reawakens in their next fight. Like in their real life, they'll be fine, but if they continue to fight, it's something that'll flare up again and maybe do some serious damage. So no, man, like, yeah, you gotta let things heal naturally. Just gotta let things heal naturally. That's all. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I have no issue with that at all. I hope it just doesn't sit out for like a year or anything like that, but I doubt it. But yeah, the neck, man, the neck and the feet can't really do anything without those, man. You can't do anything without those in a fight. Because what was it last time? Fractured her hand. Her and Grasso both fractured their hand. This time, she hurt her neck in that fight, and this time Grasso broke her leg in training. So they're injury sisters right now, But just imagine, man, all these fighters, man, they be suffering injuries that they don't even tell us sometimes, which they're not obligated to. We just have to respect them as athletes and say, okay, they're not ducking and they deserve their time off to recover too, just like anybody else, right? Many of y'all that call out of work that ain't sick, you know what I mean? Like, how many of y'all be doing it? Calling out you ain't sick. I'm just saying. But yeah, man, that's just what it is, man. But yeah, that's all I got on this one, y'all. Like I said, this past weekend was good. Check out LFA and Aries and Cage Warriors if y'all want to see some new talent on the come up. keep your eye on Natasha Kusatina. I think she's one to get signed to the UFC pretty soon here. And yeah, just keep your eyes open for some of these up and coming fighters. Bantamweights, strawweights, flyweights, all of them. But I'll catch y'all on Friday for this big one. And like always, hit that subscribe button, and hit that like button. If y'all want y'all's fighters to be promoted and y'all want WMMA to be promoted, support. And just so y'all know, the show now, I was able to keep my website updated. This show, I know it's on YouTube, but I always post it on iTunes, Spotify, and so on. So if y'all really want the show to be out there and people to support WMMA, subscribe to it on those platforms. I know some of y'all got iTunes and Spotify and any platform that podcast is on. It's there. It's there now. This show is there now. So I know you listen to it here, but if you subscribe to it over there and even like hit a 5-star on the show or a review, it'll get out there. And then your favorite women's fighters will start getting more promotion, maybe. Or, even other fighters will start hearing about it, saying, hey, y'all talking about me over here. Oh, he's talking about me over here. So y'all can help with the promotion too. Y'all always ask sometimes like, hey man, like, why ain't so-and-so listening to y'all? Like, y'all, you need to be out there more. Well, go over there and subscribe. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all of that. Just to help me out and help your fighters out. On that note though, y'all, I am out. Make sure y'all subscribe. Peace.